Good morning, everybody. You are currently listening to a Tall Girls podcast hosted by a tall girl named India. I hope everyone is doing great today. Before I get into this episode, I do want to say make sure you are following me on my socials at a Tall Girls podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest to stay up to date on the latest podcast episodes and check out some super relatable, super hilarious tall girl content. Gosh, it feels so weird recording right now. It feels like I haven't recorded in ages and I don't know how to feel. Well, that's because it was holiday season not too long ago and I was recording episodes several weeks earlier. Well, not several weeks earlier, but early, on a day that I usually don't record. I usually record on Sundays, so I have some of the week to edit everything, edit TikToks, so yada yada yada, so that at the end of the week it could go up smoothly. But I was doing it a week and a half before the episode would go out because I have multiple episodes. So now that we're back to the regular schedule, thank goodness, it just feels so weird. But once I get back into routine, we'll figure it out. But I really hope that you're enjoying this weather right now. Well, if you're living in New York, it's January, but it's in the high 40s and the low 50s, and I'm honestly here for it. Usually by now it's 30s, 20s. Snow is everywhere. The sun is never out. Well, the sun hasn't been out for the past 4 days, but now that the sun is out, I'm just feeling really good. But I remember this man, I posted this on my story once. I posted on my story. It was 8 a.m. I was just coming from the gym and it was 53 degrees. I was like, oh my gosh, the sun feels so good. It's warm. I don't even need to wear a hat. Why am I wearing a hat? And I posted on my story that it was nice. It was pretty unseasonal. The weather is pretty unseasonal, but it was so nice outside. And then I had the little temperature thingy on there and it said 53 degrees. And some man DM'd me on Instagram the other day and was like, oh, that's freezing. But he lives in Miami, so that makes sense. But he doesn't understand the New York weather. New York weather was that one day in December where it was 10 degrees and the real feel was -7. Mad windy, mad gray. The only thing that it was missing was the snow. There was no snow. There has not been any snow yet. I mean, I've seen some of y'all's Instagrams when you're taking pictures and yada yada yada. I've seen snow and I was like, wow, they got snow. I still have yet to get snow. And that is so weird. And I don't want to complain too much because then I don't have to shovel any snow or anything like that, or have to wear 20 different socks and big clunky boots when I'm leaving the house so that my feet don't get wet and stuff like that. But I don't know, the snow just really changes the vibes. The snow makes it feel like winter. Now it just feels like an extended part, an extension of fall. But I'm not complaining because fall is my favorite season. But anyways, so today we're doing another episode of Tall Girl Reacts to Tall Girl Problems. Oh my gosh, how long has it been? Weeks? Months? I don't even remember. It's been a while though, but if you're new, Tall Girl Reacts to Tall Girl Problems is a series on this podcast where I read out tall girl problems from 2012-ish Tumblr and see if these are actually tall girl problems that us tall girls actually experience, or if they're fake and they were made in a basement by a person who's 5'2" and has a life. Were the previous ones real so far? I don't even know. I don't even remember. That is so bad. But speaking of tall girl problems, literally I was ordered to get something off the top shelf the other day. My friend and I were at Home Depot at 9:47 at night. And mind you, Home Depot closes at 10 p.m. and we got there literally 20 minutes before it closed. By the way, if you're listening, you know who you are. But she tried to reach a pack of she was saying drill bits, so I guess drill bits, off of this rack that was really high. And she's like, oh, can I reach it? I proceeded to try to reach it and failed epically. And it's nope. And then she said, you get that. That's your job. And I'm here like, excuse me? Even though it technically is kind of my job, excuse me? You're not even paying me for this. So, I mean, technically she paid me in fries, but still. Only for me to get it and then give it to her. And then she looked at it. I guess it was the wrong thing. And then she gave it back to me to put it back. Like, whatever. And then she said, oh, now you have something to talk about on your podcast. I'm like, yeah, dragging you. LOLs. Take a stepladder with you next time. And stop forcing me to do these things. I don't know. I'm just over exaggerating right now. There's no need for this. Anyways, let's just get into this episode. Going through hell looking for a prom dress because all the short dresses are too short and all the long dresses are never long enough. Fun fact, I've never had a prom. Yeah, I never had a high school prom and I never went to prom during high school period. Well, I was class of 2020 in high school, and if you know, you know. But I never had this tall girl problem, so I can't even tell you if it truly is. I mean, I can, honestly, because it is a common shopping problem in general, but I've never experienced it with prom shopping. I never even got a chance to go prom shopping. I mean, I started looking, because prom, oh my god, when is prom? I think it was like in June or something like that, like end of May, early June, something like that. And March was when the incident happened in New York City. So I was just looking at stuff online, but I never went in person. So I never experienced that with prom shopping because I never got the chance to just do it. I didn't have a prom. And on the low, just for the hell of it, I should go prom dress shopping and report back to you. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna report back to y'all. We'll keep that in our back pockets for now. Watch me forget about that. LOLs. But why am I saying LOLs? I'm doing too much texting. I'm doing way too much texting saying LOLs like that. Oh my gosh. Whatever, anyways. But yeah, I should even buy myself a prom dress and just fake like I actually did go to prom. Actually, no. I want to be different. I want to stand out from the crowd. I want to proclaim how I did not go to prom. Honestly, it's sad, but I do want to say it did save me a lot of money and headache because prom is not just about what you wear. It's also about the experience. And I'm telling you, my friends and I were ready to get like limos and go out to eat and get hotel room. That stuff adds up. And then on top of that, I was graduating, so I had to pay for my stuff for girl. The incident did save me money, I will say that. But let's just move on from that. Next one. When you go into a dressing room and the doors are too short to cover you. Yo, short story time. I was in JCPenney many years ago. Yes, I used to shop at JCPenney. Don't hate on me and don't hate on JCPenney. That used to be the only thing that could fit me at the time, okay? Because I was tall as a child. I still am tall, but I was tall as a child, and that's the only thing that could fit me, a tall child, at that time. But anyways, I went into the dressing room to try clothes on, and my dressing area thingy, the dressing room was like the first one you see when you walk in. So when you walk in and you make a right, that was the dressing room area or whatever, your immediate right. It was like, well, obviously it was a little space, but after that little space, the immediate right there, the first one that you see is the dressing room, and it was to the right of me. It was like kind of facing sideways. So that was the one that I went to. And usually, like in a dressing room, when you get into the room-ish area, there are other dressing rooms in front of it. But because mine was the first one, I guess you could say, but because mine was the first one and there was a wall in front of it, there wasn't a dressing room thingy across from it. It was just a wall with a mirror. So I went into the dressing room, I closed the door, and when you go in there and you turn around, by the way, when I turned around and I saw like my head, neck, and shoulders, I was like, what the heck? Why is this door acting like this? Like, I'm a 10-year-old girl, 12-year-old girl. Why can I see a lot of myself like in this mirror? Why isn't this door doing its job? But whatever, it is what it is. But when you turn around and look in the mirror, you can see the people in the waiting room. So waiting room, same thing. Anyways, so I go into the dressing room and close the door. I turn around, I'm like, what the hell? Why is this door so short? It looks so awkward, yada, yada, yada. And then I make eye contact with the man in the reflection. A whole grown man. So embarrassing. Yes, definitely a tall girl problem. Terrible, terrible. See, I feel like a lot of tall people complain about this, or just normal people in general, because it's not just the tall people that experience that thing where people are like kind of looking at them in the dressing room because the doors are too short. Even though I was tall, you could very well see part of my upper body because the door, not a lot of it, but part of the upper body, like when you take your shirt off and stuff, like you can see my shoulders. And I don't know how people feel about shoulders, but it's a strange world out there. And it's kind of like, can you like cover me up? Like, I don't even want somebody looking at me get undressed. Like, that just personally makes me uncomfortable. But even so, there was like a lot of videos on YouTube a few years ago, and I'm pretty sure it circulated elsewhere, but specifically on YouTube, where you have creeps, not even just men, women too, that like to look under the, like, you know, the space where the bottom of the door, and between the bottom of the door and the floor, like there's this little gap, that some people like to look under there. Some people like to have their own mirror and put their mirrors under there to see like people changing. And some people even take their phones and put it under there and like record the people that are getting dressed and getting changed. That was also a thing in stores and stuff like that. This one particular man that was going around taking pictures and using a mirror to look under women's skirts and stuff like that. It's just like, oh my gosh, there are really people out there that do stuff like that. I'm getting a little bit sidetracked, but I promise you it connects. But I feel like with that whole thing coming into fruition, people becoming aware of it, people actually complaining about it, that they need to have more floor to ceiling doors, like doors that start at the floor and end at the ceiling. Like, there's no gap, no space. You can't look under there, go under there, stick your phone or whatever under there. I feel like part of that could be a little bit scary, because let's say the door quote unquote malfunctions and it locks, it doesn't open. Like, how do you get out? And what if there's like an emergency, stuff like that, the door isn't opening and you need to like jump over or jump under? Like, I can understand that. But for the most part, which occurs more frequently? The creeps looking underneath your door and watching you change, or some freak accident or freak disaster that you have to like jump over or go under the door? Like, which one occurs more frequently? And it's the one with the creeps. So I feel like with that, when people started voicing that concern, that they started doing those floor to ceiling doors. And I personally think that they need more of those everywhere, not even just in dressing rooms and bathrooms and stuff like that. I'm starting to see more of those now these days, especially in Whole Foods. If you live in New York City, you know what Whole Foods is. There's a Whole Foods in Manhattan, specifically the one across the street from Bryant Park that I went to a while ago. Their bathrooms are unisex, so I think that it's also imperative to have those floor-to-ceiling doors when you have a unisex bathroom for both genders, to respect their privacy and stuff like that. But I think that they need to start having more doors like that to prevent like any weird stuff from happening. But yeah, that's just me. But definitely a tall girl problem. Save us tall folks by doing the more of the floor to ceiling doors for everyone's safety and privacy, especially as tall people. Next, when you get a backache from stooping down while washing dishes. Yo, I'm telling you, I be having neck pain, like severe neck pain, neck soreness, all that stuff when doing the dishes. I don't even realize how much I slouch when I do the dishes and how much I strain my neck so much. Like, the weight of my head is actually pulling my neck down, because when you do the dishes you have to look down so you know exactly what you're doing. So I'm like trying to look down, but my neck, like, I subconsciously like push my neck forward and down, and then my head just kind of weighs it down even more because my neck isn't at an angle where, like, I don't know, the rest of my body could support my head's weight. It's just my neck that's doing it. And it's with my neck basically holding up my head, I get sore and it hurts. Like, I get stiffness, and sometimes it even seizes up a little bit. It's kind of scary, but I feel sore, and my upper back and my neck cramp up, and it's terrible, dude. And here we go again with needing tall, friendly apartments. But what's new with that? There's absolutely nothing new with that, okay? We're dealing with low sinks, low counters, low tables, low dressers. They are not good for us. They are not good for our posture. And if it's not good for our posture, then it's not good for our health, because yes, our posture does affect our health. I told you this in a story time. I don't even know how long ago, sometime last year, when I found out my new height. Even though it was a half an inch of a difference, it was still a half of an inch. All because what? All because I'm leaning improperly. Is that even a word? I'm not leaning. First of all, you're not even supposed to lean on stuff, period. But I'm leaning on these counters and countertops and tables and stuff like that in a bad way, and I'm slouching and I'm leaning over stuff and I'm bending down and all that affects your posture. And then that led to so much pain at a young age. Even though, yes, all ages experience pain, the amount of pain I was experiencing, why? You're not supposed to experience that as a child. I used to have to deal with sciatica. I still do sometimes, but not as frequently. Sciatica. That is commonly seen in older adults who sit down a lot. But that's the problem. I wasn't sitting down a lot. I just had that pain because my posture was so off, and I had anterior and lateral pelvic shift or whatever. Yes. And that was causing my pain. So these things are not good for us. Or maybe it's a sign to get a dishwasher. Well, I live in an older apartment, so they don't really have those here. But when I move, that's a requirement for the next place, so I can save myself, time and a lot of back pain. Plus, it's 2023. It's so weird to say that right now, but it's 2023. It's the future. Why are we still washing our own dishes? We have the technology to make our lives easier, so let's use it. So yes, definitely a tall girl problem, getting pain from washing the dishes. And I think we're gonna end it there. I definitely sidetracked in like two of those things. My bad, y'all. But hey, if you stuck around, that means you liked it, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. As always, feel free to hit me up on my socials at A Tall Girls Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest, and let me know what you thought of this episode. Let me know what you think of this podcast. Let me know how life's going. I want to know. I'm genuinely curious. I really do like talking to you guys over on social media, and also give me ideas what you want me to talk about next. This podcast is for you guys as much as it is for me. We're all in this together, okay? So hit me up. Also feel free to leave me a review. Everything is going to be linked in the description, so you're going to see the link for my social medias, and then you're going to see a link to leave me a review. Leave me a review and let me know how tall you are. I am genuinely curious. I want to know how tall my listeners are. And yeah, I think that's it. Some last words. You are enough. You are awesome. You are amazing. You are loved, and you are valued and appreciated. Okay? I don't want you to forget that. I will catch you in the next one. Good night and goodbye.